I'm starting to talk about collaboration right now, and that's where we're heading, because we're not just right up until now we've been looking at Git for ourselves in our own little bubble, but you guys are supposed to use Git in a context where you collaborate with your friends, and we want you to use Git as a centralized version control system, which means it's a very straightforward system where there's a golden server up high in the sky, and everyone below it is a kind of a slave to it. So if someone pushes a change to the server, everybody has to get that change before they can push again.
And also it exists some special branches. They name origin/branch name.
Yes.
And it's where the server you later check out where the different branches exist there.
Actually, this is just an overview. We're going to go through everything thing by thing here. So we start with the centralized VCS. Git is actually not centralized by design. The idea of having a repository locally on your computer is the decentralized design, which means that every developer or every repository is just as high as anyone else. And that means I could actually introduce Buck as my remote and just push to him and fetch his changes. And I could push to Sophia or to Alexander or anyone else independently. It takes some work to do, and it's kind of tricky to get it working, but it's very nice when you see it running. The most simple way to use this methodology is to consider a simple or single server as the virtual golden master. I mean, it doesn't technically mean that it's better than anyone else, but we consider it as the golden master, and we treat it as the real truth. So, yes, this master in our case is supposed to be GitHub. We're talking about GitHub all the time because that's a really neat web service. But there are others out there. If you like to choose anyone else, that's fine with us, as long as we get to see what you're doing. And the difference between working on your own repository or some repository that's connected to a master or a server somewhere is that you don't create new repositories with Git in it. You clone them from the server. So we start by creating a repository on the server with the GitHub service, and then use git clone to get it down to our computer. The clone actually does very much setup for us, linking in the server so that we can push and pull automatically without having to define where to push it down and such. Do you want to show that right now, perhaps? Yeah, let's do it.
Yes. Our web page.
Yeah, for example, we can actually make a new. Whoops. Let's see. There we have it. This is GitHub. For those who haven't seen it before. Before. This is the start page. It doesn't really show much. What's important here is the create a new repo. Let's click it. And let's get a repo name. Tutorial. That was nice. Yes. And on GitHub, every public repository is free. You may get private repositories which are hidden, but that costs money. We recommend you to use public repositories and open source licenses for this course, partly because you have to deal with open source, and partly because there's a spirit around Chalmers that we're supposed to make open source stuff in the future, so we want to promote that. We can...
on academic sides, should you probably...
Yeah.
Yeah, and here was a part about you can choose ignore file. And you change Java there.
Yes.
You get the auto-generated ignore files.
Yes.
Or
We could actually show, there's an Android one as well. These are ready-made for you. You will look at creating your own one later, but we can choose this one just for kicks. Create repository. Okay, this is what a repository looks like on GitHub. We see the content of the repository here, which is the root directory. And there's also a small viewer for the README file. You've seen this if you looked at the course home page. Up here are some neat tools for checking the different aspects of the project or the repository. We'll go through that later, actually, and look at the clone thing first. Here is a switch thingy that will show you three different modes of accessing the repo. I recommend once you're logged in and you are a collaborator of a project, you use the SSH one. Just copy it right out of there. And I will now move up one stage and do git clone. It will actually create a new folder for the new project and introduce the git folder within it. Cloning into tutorial. That's it. Let's go into it. Oh no. Git status. Now, there's an interesting thing because right now I have the master branch as always, but there's also a second branch. Actually, three ones. The origin branches. And these are branches that are created on your computer. We can actually look at those. Yeah. The origin branches are created on your computer and are supposed to reflect the state of the server at any given time. Those will not be, you will not be able to update or change those branches by committing, but only by using server commands or the syncing commands. Most of the time you will use the origin branches to update your own master branch and make sure that it points at the same commit as the origin master branch. And that gets way to sync up the different repositories in a way. Now, there are two commands for syncing. Push and pull. Simple. When I make a commit in my repository, like this, for example, let's say I would have pushed the repository we worked on before. Everything would up until here would be on the server and on my computer. That's fine, right? When I create a new commit, the master. Oh, that's okay. Your master will still point here, but the master. Master will point there, and there's a difference, as you can see. Git will acknowledge this difference and actually see that you are ahead of the origin master, because the master references every commit that the origin master references +1, right?
Also note, this is also labeled.
Yes.
You can check out origin master as anyone else.
It's a read-only branch, which is a label. Actually, I think we will show some actual work with this, right?
You will commit and...
Yes, I will. It's possible actually to create commits from the GitHub page. For example, when working with text files like this one. I may edit it. And this actually introduces new commits. Git tutorial in English. Yeah. Right? and commit summary. This is the commit message, as you know it. And I commit.
Yeah.
Yes. This means that there is a commit on the origin branches, and we'll see what that looks like. I won't see it until I do a pull or a fetch. A pull is actually, if we look at this, is actually a macro. The pull does actually 3 things at the same time.
So it's what it's doing is fetching from the remote server. It's merging with the current master or branch, and it's checking out the merged file.
Yes.
At least it
The most visual thing to do is, in this case, to do these things, each one as simple steps. So we'll do the fetch, which also is a command, and I'll show you what it will do. That's it. There's a fetch. And now we can see that my branch is behind origin master by 1 commit and can be fast forwarded. This means that origin master is now updated to contain whatever's on the server just by the fetch command. This does not mean that my master branch is updated or changed in any way. I can actually see the changes by looking at the diff, but first of all, I want to show you what's on the local page here. Let's see it. Yes. Right now, in master, my personal local master, it says tutorial, get tutorial in English. That's it. If I look at the diff, I use the branch reference origin/master.
You see 2 rows difference.
Yes.
For some reason, I believe you add. No, you.
Actually, there is. This is the part where we have 2 separate branches, and we've tried to make a diff between them, and we're not really sure about what actually is what here. The green stuff is what's on my computer right now. The red stuff is what's really new. The latest commit on the server, which introduces the bacon and rubber ducks. So in this way, the diff is turned the other way around, and it's kind of confusing, but you'll get the hang of it. And now I want to merge these changes into my file, or my branch. No, I'm sorry. Merge. That's it.
Yeah.
Fast forward. This means that the merge was without any conflict, and we didn't have to make any new commits because they were actually related, these 2 commits. The commit on the server was a child of the commit I had on the master branch, so there was no issue. And as I did the merge, I also did checkout, and I got the bacon and rubber ducks.